afternoon.
Hi.
How are you today, Kyra?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. So we met for the first time last week. How has this past week been for you since?
It's been okay. A lot is going on, but for the most part, I'm okay. Still a little anxious about still standing up to myself, to Keith,
Mm-hmm.
but um, we actually started to go to couples counseling. We went to one,
Okay.
and it went well, but then after the session, we ended up having an argument over some of our financials, and it kind of spiraled a little left. And Keith got like really upset and really angry, and kind of like more worse than it's been in the past. So um, from seeing that, I kind of still backed in my corner and didn't speak up for myself, which I kind of feel bad about. But he ended up taking care of it after blowing off some steam for a couple of days. Now I'm here.
When you say that you want to have stood up for yourself, or I know last week too we talked about instances where you wish you stood up for yourself more. What would standing up for yourself look like?
Just to give maybe my point of view out on things we may have disagreements on, whether it's financials, maybe our personal lives, things that we want to do with our families or each other, anything like that. Just me having more of a say so, because I don't normally voice those things to him. It's just kind of like he'll mention it, and he'll give me his ideas, but then I kind of just don't give mine. It's kind of like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I think that's good, or you can handle it, type of ordeal. So yeah.
And what do you wish you were saying to him instead of agreeing?
I guess maybe in a situation I could say like, hey, I have these thoughts. Would you like to go about this way or your way, or maybe sometimes we can meet in the middle. And maybe just evaluate like which opinion might be better, or which decision might be better. It's just kind of hard to see like him having all the control, and I just kind of follow along like a puppy dog behind him, like he's my owner and I'm the dog. So yeah, I would say that just to see if we can just find like a mediating decision between each other, instead of me letting him take all the control of the decisions we have in both of our lives.
I hear you. And congratulations for one on going to couples counseling session as well. It sounds like you said it was a positive experience.
Yeah, when we first went, the therapist was just trying to get to know us and know our relationship. And at first I didn't know what to expect, because I didn't know if Keith was gonna say like off things, or maybe not say something that was right, or I don't know, because we're two different people, we have two different experiences. But
what do you mean by off things?
Like I don't know, maybe he would have lied to make us look like something we're not, or maybe say something that's not true about me or himself that we both obviously know between us. Him telling that to a stranger, I didn't know exactly what to anticipate, or what he may have anticipated off of me, since I'm the one who had the infidelity. So but it went smoothly. No breakthroughs yet.
Well, let's stay warm.
But we just kind of got like our background out on who we are together, and kind of who we are separately a little bit too, and then yeah, the therapist just got to know us.
Do you feel that that's going to be positive for your relationship, or do you feel like it'll be a space for you to exercise some of that control that you have not yet exercised with him?
Yeah. I feel it will also like probably take me out of a comfort zone that maybe I'm not ready to face yet, but I mean, sometimes people gotta push you for you to go do something, so I'm willing to, cooperate and listen and, try things, so. I will say that I'm proud that I went. I didn't think I would last the full time, but we did.
That's great. And you said you're concerned that Keith might say things that were untrue or sounds like confabulate things a bit. Has he done that in the past?
No, not really, but I just didn't know what to expect, because I guess you can say we have like maybe like a trust issue, and maybe that's more on my end than his end. So he didn't really like come forward. I mean, I came forward with that in our counseling session, but he didn't like tell the therapist that I was cheating per se. So I didn't know, like, maybe if I had not mentioned it, was he gonna say it?
I see.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I hope that proves positive for your relationship moving forward too. But from what you were telling me, also when you left that session, you and Keith still got into a different fight.
Mhm.
Okay. And how are you guys now? Have you guys made a resolution from that?
Like I said earlier, he did. He just took it and handled it. So I guess you can say, yeah, it was resolved, but he resolved it, not I.
I see. You didn't really.
I didn't have my input
Yeah.
or contribute anything to it. So yeah.
Okay. And I want to go back to a phrase you said. You said that you follow around kind of like a puppy dog, and that made you giggle too. Why do you think that is?
Because I feel like I do more listening than maybe, I guess, necessarily fighting back. Maybe not, physically, obviously, but like he just has me on a leash per se, and like I'm following him around, doing whatever he says, like listening to whatever opinions he's giving me, but he's kind of not hearing me out. Like, let's say, like as a puppy dog, like maybe he's not feeding me and I'm asking for food, and it's like I'm not being fed in a way. And so I guess to compare that in our lives, it's like he's giving all these opinions, but like the ones I want to give, I feel like I can't necessarily give out, because it kind of feels more of authoritative over me. And so, like, I back down, and I feel like I'm just existing in a way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. Would you used the term authoritative earlier? Also, you said it's like he owns you almost, like a puppy dog.
Mm-hmm.
Would he also view himself as having authority or some level of ownership over you? Do you think? I know I can't speak for him.
Yeah. Like him to admit it.
Mm-hmm. Or do you think that he feels that way? Do you think that that's how he kind of views his place in the relationship?
Maybe no, because I don't know. I don't think so. Because like at the end of the day, like we just want to handle our business. So obviously if I don't do it, he'll do it. So it's like he'll just take more of the responsibility than I would. So maybe necessarily he'll just think of it as a responsibility, but then I think it's kind of authoritative.
Sure. Okay, so it sounds like it could be that what he might determine as taking responsibility and maybe even accountability is something that you may view as taking authority and ownership.
Control, yeah.
Okay, and does that apply, do you think, more to like your I know you mentioned your financial issues and other things like that in your relationship. Would that extend, do you think, over your entire relationship together?
Yeah, I would say that. Because, and like I said from our earlier session, we don't really do much. We just kind of sit at home. And it's because, like, he makes decisions like, oh, instead of going out, why don't we just, stay home, watch a movie, things like that. I would say, like, yes, that he kind of takes control of our relationship, aspects of our relationship most of the time.
Gotcha. And when you're with Carter, do you feel like there's a similar dynamic there?
Not necessarily, no.
No? Okay.
No. Kind of feel like I can be more open with Carter. I feel, I just feel different. I feel like we can go out and do things and, I not feel like I'm on a leash. So yeah, I think with Carter, I don't get the authoritative or like somebody's really controlling over me. He kind of lets me do whatever I think I want to do, and like he also like asks like, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, we can work this out, do whatever you want to do, like dating wise and things like that. But yeah, I feel like feel more free with Carter than I do Keith.
Gotcha. It sounds like it's a more even playing field, or would you say it's skewed the opposite?
It kind of evens it out for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So between those two relationships, you have less control in one and more control in the other? Gotcha.
Which, I kind of rather have like control between all parties, if that makes sense. Like I want more like, not necessarily control from Keith, but like an even playing field, like you said. Like I want to meet in the middle.
Gotcha. Okay. That's important. That's important. And with so correct me if I'm misunderstanding. With Keith, it sounds like he has more control in the relationship and he makes the majority of the decisions. Whereas with Carter, you have more control in that relationship than Carter does, and you make more of those decisions.
I wouldn't say I have more control than Carter.
Okay.
In our relationship is that we find a balance.
Gotcha.
So not necessarily like, oh, my ideas or opinions or takes on things are over his. It's like we kind of say, both sides, and then we work it out together. Kind of something like I wish me and Keith had.
I see. So you want to kind of mimic those dynamics or recreate those dynamics in what you have with Keith. Understood. And when you met Keith, or when you and Keith first started dating, was it similar to how it is now between you?
No, because we weren't living together. We weren't living together, and
Thin walls. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. We weren't living together. We kind of each had our own space, our own responsibilities that we didn't have to worry about necessarily like together. It's kind of like we dealt with them separately with our own lives, and now that we live together, we have to kind of combine our responsibilities together.
Yeah, you introduced different stressors. There were more things to take responsibility for, it sounds like, and dynamics shifted in that process.
Yeah, and then like I had also had around the time that we did move in together, I had recently got diagnosed with scoliosis, so then I had to work out medical treatment plans and things like that, which was a little difficult at first, but we're kind of like at ease with it at the moment.
Yeah, what was that process like of being diagnosed, identifying that concern?
I mean, it was hard at first because I didn't know why I was having kind of like a back problem and pain. So and I kind of like waited off to go to the doctor because I work and we have lives, and so I kind of caught it last minute,
Oh, really?
And yeah, I called it last minute. But I did get it in time to where I can get treatment for like, enough of the pain aside to where I didn't have to like get major surgery or have to schedule major surgery in the future and things like that. So yeah, it was a little tough one at first, but I made it over the hurdle.
Yeah. I imagine there were some adjustments you had to make initially.
Yeah, it kind of put me in a deficit. Like it was just kind of hard to deal with. Just having to, take more time at a doctor's office than at work, because that takes the majority of my time that I need to be at work.
Right.
And I guess you can say with that, like when I got stressed out, I did, drink, and I had, prescribed medications that I took more than probably I needed to. So, yeah.
You had painkillers to help with that.
Yeah, excruciating pain. After I started taking medication, the pain started to subside, for most of the part, but I just kept taking the pain pills, and I still get them, but I feel like I probably don't need to take them as much.
Oh, you're still taking them?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you talked to someone about that? No. Okay. When you're taking them, about how many are you taking?
Maybe 3 or 4 a day.
Okay. And it's not to treat pain?
No, because the pain isn't as bad as it was. It's not. I probably give it like a 2 out of a 10. But let's say if I take one for the pain, then I'll take maybe 2 more, and I won't be in pain. I won't be in pain from taking the next 2. I'll just take it because I have to.
So what does it feel like when you take them?
Kind of airy. I don't know if that's a good explanation, but I feel like kind of like I can silence out my surroundings and the environment that I'm in, and I just feel like calm.
So it brings you a calmness.
Yeah, I just feel like I, not necessarily that I can't hear anything, but I feel like things are just tuned out to the point where it's like, oh, like it's not bothering me, I can't hear nothing. Like I just feel like really calm and at ease. Kind of takes like some of my anxiety away that I have.
I see. And how do you feel about taking those medications?
They make me feel good, and I said that I probably shouldn't take them as much as I do. But then again, it's like if I'm really like feel stressed, I'll take them or I'll drink, either one. But like I kind of I don't regret it. I can say that. I don't regret taking more or drinking more.
I see. So you're aware that it may not be the ethical or the correct thing to do, but it's serving a function for you, is what it sounds like. Are you drinking at the same time that you take painkillers? No?
Usually when I'm not taking the painkillers, I'll drink. I drink like 2 or 3 times a week.
Does that give you a similar feeling to the medications?
Yeah. Same feeling, but I think the alcohol doesn't last as long.
That may be the case in different classes. I assume it's making you laugh. Like well, I'm laughing with you, but why are you laughing?
Cause I know like maybe I shouldn't be, partaking in that, but at the same time, like it makes me feel better. It's like I know I'm wrong, but I don't feel guilty about it. Like I don't regret it.
It feels justified to you.
Yeah.
I see. And it sounds like your feelings of anxiety may be causing you enough distress for you to really want those feelings to go away. So I want to talk more about where that anxiety may be coming from. I know we've talked about the kind of imbalances, it sounds like, in your dynamics with your boyfriend, with Keith, is that, would you say, causing the majority of this kind of stress?
Yeah, because of maybe how he reacts, to our relationship and aspects of our relationship, like obviously the cheating, and then I would say the other things we probably like our financial and just things that we work on together as a couple, responsibility wise, like when we pay rent, utilities, when we have to, do certain documentation for certain things. But yeah, sometimes I feel like Keith puts 1,000 pounds of weight on me that I just don't know how to push off.
Okay.
Makes it very overwhelming. Like sometimes I feel like I can't handle it all because sometimes it comes all at once. And maybe like as an adult, maybe I should be able to handle it, but I just feel like I just can't handle it all at once. Or I don't. Maybe I haven't figured out how to handle it all at once.
And it all being those expectations that Keith has on you, and the financial stuff, the signing things, making those sorts of decisions.
Making appointments, yeah. A lot of things, yeah.
Gotcha. And is he aware of how much anxiety that causes you?
I feel like he may see it, but do I know that he knows? No.
Okay.
Or I'm unsure if he knows. He probably notices it and maybe just like, oh, maybe she's stressed out in the moment, then it goes away. But I definitely feel the pressure all the time.
Okay. I'm sorry you're experiencing that too. It sounds like you found tools for yourself to cope with that, but those may be causing you some stress too. So spending time with Carter sounds like one way to deal with that pressure, and the painkillers and the alcohol sound like other ways to deal with those things. Is that a fair reflection?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and most of the time, if I'm with Carter, I really don't think about, taking the painkillers or the alcohol. It's kind of outside of that. Is what I usually think about, using those.
I'm wondering about your experience of just being in your home with Keith if you did not have those things available to you.
The painkillers and the alcohol? I mean, yeah. I would wonder how that would play out to feel like I probably would get even more overwhelmed. Because I wouldn't have nothing to maybe ease my nerves, per se. That would be interesting.
And yet with those to ease your nerves, you still feel too restricted to voice your perspective on things to Keith?
Yeah, because maybe if I wasn't using, maybe the more sober I am, the more I may feel like, oh, maybe I can say this and see what response I get. That makes sense.
So it sounds like you said, if that makes sense. Let me try to make sense then.
Yeah.
If you're sober, you have more latitude to say certain things back to him. Okay.
Because sometimes when we do argue, I'm probably most of the time I'm not sober. So that could also be holding me back from, standing up for myself.
Okay. Do you have like a sense of guilt with that, or is it an inability to voice, or why do you think the sobriety would change your ability?
I feel like maybe being sober, I'd be in a better headspace. Cause like I said, when I do take the painkillers and the alcohol, like I tune things out. So when that happens, I guess you can say I can also I tune some of the things he has to say when we have an argument or disagreement. Yeah.
Okay, so you can be more aware of the conversation you're having. I see.
Which, I mean, that would probably be the smarter route, right?
It also sounds like it would be a lot. Sounds like it would be kind of challenging for you to jump into.
Yeah, cause I mean, you know, I've been drinking since I turned 21, probably earlier than that, but and then now I have the painkillers, so I think it could take some time for me maybe to, you know, inch off of them. I don't know if I use the right word, but you know, to maybe to slowly stop using them, but I mean, it could be a try. I don't know how much I would try.
Well, is that something that you'd want to do?
I could, if, you know, if I think I see change in it, I could stop, yeah.
Change in what?
If I see that I see myself, you know, standing up for myself and voicing my opinions and say to Keith.
It sounds like trusting yourself more would give you room to make some changes in your life.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I will be fully aware of what's going on. So yeah, if I see maybe an effect in it, then I think I would be more prone to stop.
Okay. That sounds like you're having some hesitations to trusting yourself also. Is that just with Keith?
I guess you can say yeah. Well, no, sorry. Not just with Keith. Maybe my mom or my parents. Both of my parents. More so on my dad, because of how I see how my dad treated my mom. So I feel like I don't want to run down the same path as my mom, but I feel like if I continue the behavior I have, I probably will. Like, things won't work out for me and Keith, or any, maybe if that happens, if I have any future partners, things like that.
So what do you think that that following after what your mother did would look like? Like, what would that mean?
Can you rephrase the question?
Well, so you said that that you may have difficulties trusting yourself, not just with Keith, but also with your parents, and especially with looking at how your father treated your mother. You're concerned, it sounds like, about following down how she got into her relationship. So what does that mean? What do you mean by that, I guess? What did she do, I guess, is a better...
I guess she let it happen.
She let it happen.
But then at the same time, you know, I kind of just don't want to think that she just let it happen, because she's still a victim. But at the same time, it's like I feel like maybe she could have stood up for herself, and she didn't. And you know, that could have been an example for me, but it never happened. So I feel like maybe I can't even think of the word for it, but like I felt like my mother could have done better. But then at the same time, it's like I also question myself, like what could she have done? Well, like what else could she have done besides taking it? If that makes sense.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'll ask you if you don't make sense. But it sounds like, so from what you're saying, it sounds like your mother, in your perspective, could have acted differently and therefore had a different outcome. It also sounds like you wish you had an example of how to be in certain relationships.
or how to even, and then I guess this would go on my father's part, how to like receive something back from another partner.
Something positive, something negative?
Positive. If it's negative, I don't want it. But
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, yeah, something positive. Cause I mean, the things he did wasn't right. So it's like maybe if my mom was with another man who didn't do those things, like, would I be able to accept that now?
Well, do you feel like you're accepting that from Carter?
Not all the way, no.
Okay.
It's kind of hard.
What do you mean by that?
Cause I just feel like since my father wasn't in majority of my life, like I didn't know like maybe how a man should, you know, not per se treat me, but to like how to approach me with certain things, or, and then I guess you can then say treat. But like all I see is control from Keith, and when I think of my father, I don't think of much. So it's like I really don't know like how a man should act in a relationship.
Okay. So it sounds like he wasn't much of an example of the men in your life, per se. Like, it doesn't sound like Keith reminds you of your father. It sounds like you may remind yourself of your mother, though. Okay.
I can see that.
I mean, also let me know if that's off, but
No.
how does that, I wonder what am I trying to say? I wonder if you've had that thought before.
Almost definitely.
Yeah.
All the time.
What kinds of feelings does that bring up for you?
I can definitely say it brings me anxiety, cause then it's like I don't know how to, react or act in certain situations. It's like do I kind of do like same thing with my mother? I just take it, and then I feel guilty on my part, cause I let it happen, or it's like I just deal with it. I don't kind of address it after the fact, or even in the moment. I don't address it in either way. So, and I wish I would just stand up for myself, but I just don't know how.
And it sounds like you wish your mother had acted in a certain way. Did you ever think about what you wish your mother had done, what it would look like?
Maybe to stand up for herself, even if it was to kick my father out of the house. Cause I mean, no woman should ever exhibit that or have that happen to them. But I mean, she let it happen with him and every other person she had been with, and I know she didn't deserve it. And so it's like, would she think that I deserve it, per se? But
Why do you think she would think that?
I mean, she let it happen to her, so maybe she doesn't see it as like an expectation in other people's relationship.
It would be like normal to her?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So you think maybe she also didn't have an example of a healthy relationship between a man and a woman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. 100%.
Okay. With Carter, you said you feel that you also are not accepting from him. Do you feel that he's kind of exemplifying a different version or a relationship that your mother also had at any point?
I don't think so. Excuse me, because I've never seen my mother with anybody who isn't controlling, or who would work with her, that would meet her in the middle, or would they wouldn't like argue all the time. You know, they wouldn't. I never see my mother in something stable, and I feel like with Carter, I have something stable, at least for right now. I hope to in the future, but
Well, it's been stable up until
yes,
now.
yes.
Okay. And so I'm hearing that your relationship with Keith reminds you of the relationships your mother has had in the past, that you have a lot of not comforting feelings toward, and feelings of anxiety, and it sounds like some guilt, some stress around, and also that with Carter, even though you don't feel fully as in the relationship as maybe you think would be healthier, that that it's still a different kind of relationship that is stable and where you feel more in control, less stressed, less likely to need to reach for something to escape from your feelings.
Yes.
So what is all of that together feel like to you? Is that just the facts, or are there any feelings with that?
It kind of makes me feel like two different ways. It makes me feel right about Carter, as if like, oh, maybe I need to go down that path, and in things, you know, with Keith, and then I feel like it might bring me more, I don't know, happiness or more ease and like less stress. Like I won't feel as overwhelmed. But at the same time, on the other side with Keith, I always feel overwhelmed. I feel stressed out. I feel like I don't feel right in a way. Yeah, I know he wants to work on it, and I'm willing to work on it, but I feel like that I don't see like a light at the end of the tunnel. I know that's that's a metaphor, but excuse me, very fine. I just don't know. I don't know where it would go, and I don't know if it would go in the right direction.
But you're still willing to work on it?
Yeah.
Is that because he wants to, or are you actually willing to work on it?
I'm willing to work on it, but not, I guess you can say not for my reasons.
Okay, for whose then?
Keith.
So because he wants to?
Yeah. I guess my feelings, I feel like it doesn't matter on my part, in a way.
What doesn't matter?
Like, because I don't really get to voice, you know, my opinions. I feel like they just don't even matter anymore. So it's like, oh, if he wants to work it, okay, I'll work on it. But I feel like if I say I want to work on it, I don't feel like I can find a reason for myself to want to work on it. It's just because he wants to work on it. I'm willing because he said he is, but I'm not willing because I didn't say I did.
So now if I put words in your mouth and said you're not willing, what justifications do you have for that statement? If any. You can tell me that that's purely putting words in your mouth.
I don't think I have any.
Okay.
Maybe I'll have to think about that
Sure.
for our next session.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, so from what you've told me, it sounds like while you recognize that you have a relationship that you value with Carter, you also value following through on what Keith has stated expectations for. And that while you may not be willing or unwilling, either way, the fact that he's willing to work on the relationship means that you'll do it. Okay. wanted to make sure I understood. Okay. And I'll check the tower, but okay. Wow. I feel like I've talked to you for 10 minutes. I do want you to think on that though. What motivations do you have? Anything in your life at all? It sounds like when you came in here last time, you told me about how there are issues in your relationship that you and Keith have made plans to work on, but also that you cared about your career as a paralegal, you care about your younger brother, and that you have concerns about your parents. I want you to think about for next time, a year from now, is there anything you're motivated to going toward?
In general? Like, in any aspect?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless there's anything you can think of now too that you just desire to move toward or to do. Because from what I've heard so far, it sounds like similar to the decision to go seek couples counseling. It sounds to me that you feel very neutral about things. You have a lot of feelings around them, but it doesn't sound like you haven't used anything to indicate to me that you want to move to or away from any of these sorts of decisions. With that kind of neutral perspective on it, whatever Keith says ends up being the decision. But it's still causing you a lot of stress. It's still not, no worries, it's that time of afternoon. But Keith making those decisions is still causing you a lot of discomfort. So I do want you to think about what it is that you actually want. Because it sounds to me that you're looking at a lot of things very neutrally, and that may be the case. But I want to give you time to reflect on that too.
And maybe with you saying, you saying that maybe instead of being neutral, I need to think more so on my end instead of Keith's end, Carter's end. If it came to that, my mom's end. I need to think about my motivations and their true meanings behind it.
Right.
Makes sense.
I
have a lot to think about.
Yeah, and you've got a whole week to do it. I hope you get a chance to. It sounds like you had a really busy past week, so look forward to hearing about what else you get up to this week also. But no worries. I'll let you go get a coffee in a minute. I appreciated the opportunity to talk to you again, and I look forward to speaking with you next week.
Alright, thank you. I enjoyed it.
Alright, well, I'm glad. Thank you.